maybe make a recording, so if someone missed any part of it, they can still review it. And for everybody here also, you can always review it. Okay, let's see. Where's the recording? More, okay, record. Okay, here we go. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for continuing with me on this historical survey class and painting along. Also, I will do more painting, I promise, in addition to the historical backgrounds. So when we talk, we can always start to do painting. Let's discuss some of the let me see what I can do. Share homepage. For those of you who have submitted the homework, I just see that you did fantastic work on the previous series, and I'm very confident to say that you are now advanced from the beginning of the last section to here. This is lesson 11. You have made great progress, and congratulations. So today we're going to study the one of the 4 Yuan Dynasty masters we mentioned earlier when we talked about Ni Zan. He's one of the 4 masters in the Yuan Dynasty, if you recall. And let me show a picture of his. Share. Okay, this is a high resolution online museum site. It's a long hand scroll called the Fuchun Sanju Tu. The Fuchun here. This is someone's calligraphy in front, and then his portrait. Fuchun Mountains, mountain dwellings in Fuchun is one of the top, maybe top 10, even top 5, I think, Chinese painting, together with Xia Gui, the clear and the remote mountain and streams scroll, national treasure. Okay. This part was kept in Beijing, the Palace Museum in Beijing. Is called the remaining mountains of the scroll, because it was burnt by a collector in the Ming Dynasty. He loved this piece so much, he wanted to take it to the other world when he died, but by burning it before his in his what do you call this, burying ceremony. But it was rescued by a nephew, so some part of it already been burned. It cut into half, kept in different collectors later. And this part is in Taiwan, the Palace Museum of Taipei, Taiwan. So about 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, I forgot, these 2 pieces joined together. So this is a digital reunion of the 2 pieces, but they physically joined together for the first time 600 years after the piece was created. This was considered the best example of literati painting in terms of brushwork, ink usage, 惜墨如金, treat ink as a gold. and calligraphy brushwork. It's 6 meters long, maybe 7 yard. 7 yard, right? Almost like that. I think the original must be that long. And we'll study the details of see, you know, with this site you can see clearly what was done first, and then what was done after, and then the last, right? This is a good section. If you watch the video by the late Professor James Cahill, he used this to show the carelessness of literati painting. You know, it looks so casual, you know, like some practice, right? Quite abstract here. It's actually, this dark line is used to cover up some trees, supposedly modified, you know, in composition. You know, you can just do that without worry about what's under it. This is it's kind of like an attitude of carelessness in literary painting. But believe it or not, this painting took him 7 years, starting from many, you know, plein air trips. He will carry a leather bag with brush and paper, and jot down trees when he see a different tree in the woods. So this is a serious work, not casual. It was commissioned by someone, I think. So he did this in his 70, I think 77 or something like that. He died at 85. So this is a good example of a painter, a literati painter, who started painting when he retired at the age of 50. He started painting at the age of 50 under the great master of Yuan dynasty. Remember Zhao Mengfu? Do you remember his 2 pines with rock painting we mentioned in the Song dynasty period? The leading scholar, amateur artist, a literati painter in Yuan dynasty. He was the descendant of Song emperor and relative of the southern Song emperor, the 11th grandson of the founder of Song dynasty. So he was summoned to court as a legitimation symbol. But in Yuan dynasty, the Mongol do not trust the Han Chinese, the Chinese. They recruited Muslim officials to rule China. So those scholar of officials basically lost their high positions. Like Huang Gongwang, he was born 10 years before the conquer of China by the Yuan dynasty, and he pursued long story short, if you read my email, you already know the story. At the age of 10, the year Song was conquered by the Yuan, he was adopted by a well-to-do family. His own parents died young when before he was even grown up. He was 10 years old. His parents, both of his parents died. So he became a adopted son, and his name is very everybody knows this in art historian circle, art maybe or the art students. So I have to tell you this story again, and then for those who try to get a Chinese name, this is a good example of showing how the Chinese name could be anything. So the Chinese name has two parts. The first character is the family name. His name is Huang, but his original name is Lu. His birth family name is Lu. I have a friend, Professor Lu, right? I just realized that they must be in the same family, because I didn't realize Huang Gongwang, the original family name is Lu, and Huang Gongwang's original first name is Jian. I forgot how to write the how to write that. This is simplified. Lu Jian is his first name, original given name, but he changed it. He changed his birth name to Huang Gongwang by his stepfather. And let me write this and explain the meaning. It's a very interesting story. Okay, my calligraphy. This is for the stepfather's family name. Okay, Huang meaning yellow, like Huangshan. The pronunciation could be Wang in Cantonese, the same, W-O-N-G, but in Mandarin it's Huang. Wang, the same in Cantonese, Wang, yeah. Gong means grandfather or gentleman, Mr., just Mr. Huang. Huang Gong means Mr. Huang. Wang is a verb, hope. And his pseudonym is a fictitious name, a pen name. Zijiu. So in Mustard Seed Garden Manual, you will see his name as Zijiu, which is meaning Zijiu. Okay, this meaning son, long time. Jiu means long time. This is a sentence. His stepfather said, he referred himself as Huang Gong, means old man, old man Huang. Huang, like an old man. This Gong means old man. Huang Gong means old man Huang has hoped. This is a hope, wish, or hope. A son for a long time. That's what he said. 皇宫望子久矣 has no meaning, just a mood expression. So he's so happy. He's so happy when he got his adopted son. So he gave this name Huang Gongwang, and then the pseudonym, right? The pen name. Literary boys always have two names: one official name, and then one for poetry, for art. This is Zijiu. So he's known as Huang Zijiu or Zijiu. So literally, you can use any words for your first name or pen name, but you have to, have to make sense to you. So I can help, and Victoria can help if you want to get a very unique Chinese name like Huang Gongwang. Huang Gongwang. Okay. Jiu is the different Jiu. It's the not the ninth song, but the yeah, that's right. Long time. Okay. So in the mustard seed garden menu of mustard menu book of painting, what is a long name? We just call MSG, right? His name was referred as Zijiu or Mr. Huang. Everybody knows who is Huang. Very not very popular, but actually it's a quite popular last name. But in the artwork, the Huang, Master Huang is enough to refer to him. Okay, now let's go to analyze some his techniques, so we can start painting, right? And he is a student of Zhao Mengfu. He's a literary painter, so they have a very different aesthetic taste than the academics, the Ma Yuan, Xia Gui, the Song Dynasty academic painter, professional painters. They emphasize on the stroke of the brush work, the line work, and they don't use too much color, and they use the paper rather than silk. So these are the very different characteristics of the new literary painting style, which will dominate the rest of the Chinese art in the next 500 years at least. So I do some hemp. Let me find an example. So you can look for your email for the handouts I sent. Let me pull that out so we can look at the same. Oops. Let me mute. Nice. You can unmute yourself if you need to talk. Okay. Let me see. Classical Hong Kong. Did you get it? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, I'm looking up this image. You might find maybe the first one, if you can, just try to identify this piece. This is the section I would start with. It's a middle ground in this painting. Not the hardest, but it has basically some very characteristic part. Okay. I will use this liner, this Rimbauden liner. You can use this moss. I saved the dark, the calligraphy brush. So can you see my palette here? Okay, I just use a little ink, but when we start, I use this moss dot. You can use a stiff brush if you if you have this rainbow nian, the mixed hair liner, or you can use the basic wolf hair brush if you like. These are all fine. You can also use this ink cake. Sometimes I think it's convenient. Okay, so basically,
Henry, what's the paper you're using?
Oh, good question. He used, okay, I think we need to learn by looking at the paintings and try. Yeah, this is our first. I'll show you how do I know, so you can tell. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my question.
I tell from all the questions. Ask all the questions, and I'll show you the answer with the original painting. So it's all there. But I will use this high resolution one. So okay, this is the section we're working on. And the first question is what paper? I think it is maybe 80% sized or 100% sized, but maybe not 100%, but at least 80% sized. I use sized paper without mica, which is a little less sized than the mica one. So you can use the back side of the sized paper with mica, like a Chicata wing also possible. And we can see, you know, can we see any smear part? You can see some smear are caused by wet into wet. But basically you can see a lot of hard edges. Yeah, let's see. I think it's sized paper. The raw paper is not used until the Republic, I think, become dominant. I think many people attribute that to Qi Baishi. Ping Huang knows better, maybe because her mother studied under Qi Baishi. Qi Baishi started to use this cheap paper, unsized paper, which is less expensive, to do his freestyle paintings, including landscape. So he made the raw paper popular. Before that, I think they use semi-sized. Still, you know, the majority of painters in Republic China, you know, not alone the Ming Dynasty, they use this semi-sized or sized paper. I think maybe some artists like Shitao could use raw paper, but he wet the paper. He paint more wet into wet. So I'll do, you know, we'll study that as far as the paper is concerned. But for this painting, definitely is this. I have seen many people try to copy this with the wrong paper. There's including the book in my hand. I will show you. They use raw paper and sized paper. They can never get this done. So if you took the class day before yesterday, the Li Yewu class on the flower painting, that's the same kind of paper we use. Okay, and I will use light ink because he has written a book on the secret of painting landscape. In that he said you should always start the painting with a light ink. Okay, let me see. Let me go back to this. Okay, so when we do this copy, I try to make a complete composition if I could, but limited by time. Maybe I cut further. I'll just do this trees on the left, on the right. Let me see, my left, right is different. Okay. And I have this copy here, but I don't know if I can put it on Let me put a paper. It's a size paper. It's not going to smear my book, I think. Just for safety reason, I just put another sheet of it. So you can see my sample and next to each other. Is that a good idea? So I'll just do this, all right? So another question immediately pops up is, should I do the trees or the rock first? The answer is rocks. If you look at the intersection, the crossing of overlapping of a tree and a rock, you'll see rock right across the tree. However, it is possible that he just make the rock cross the trees regardless. So probably it doesn't matter as long as you use light ink to start and you can change it. So let's do the trees first. But keep in mind, he might have done the rock first. Okay. So when I do this, I can use the charcoal. Let me see. I will just mark the height of the tree briefly, to where the split is. So, and you need to see which one is the front, and that's the tree you want to start. Okay, so I'll do this tree on the left side, which is the second tall, not the highest, because I think this means in the front of the tallest one. So I'll start with this Y-shaped split, but a V-shaped, but make sure it's not like a Y. It leans slightly to the left, right? So I hold the brush. It should be, according to Zhao Mengfu, trees should be like a seal script calligraphy. This is a very lean one. So I use quite light and quite wet brush. Just quickly draw a line on the left. Then I don't need to look at the original. I match that with my own stroke. Now I'm concerned with the thickness of the branch, the trunk, right? And I'll do, you can start to do branches, but I'll just draw the second tree. Okay, where's the split? It's about about half of the first tree here. Okay, so I'll draw another split like that. And then I continue on the left side. Look at the picture. It's not a straight line like the Song Academy artist Ma Yuan or Xia Gui, some artists, I forgot who said, observed that the literati painter tend to use the brush, in the way that both sides is coarse. The academic painter try to keep one side smooth and one side coarse. Because if you look at the painting in detail, you see the line is quite dry. But at this point, we don't use dry brush, and we use wet and light, just for, you can consider it as a shading first, just like a watercolor. So the second stroke always match the first one. You make curve. You cannot really copy his signature, someone's signature, but you got the idea, right? The general idea of the tree, so you don't have to copy every little curve, every little detail. Here is a detail I want to show you, the dot, the root. Okay. You just do something like this. 2 strokes. So everything's done with this calligraphy, almost like writing a character, but you go up and down, a dot, something like that. Or you can just do whatever, just very short marks, we call it, very certain strokes without hesitation. And this tree should go all the way up. So I'll just continue that. And it links a little bit to the other side, to the right. And add some branches, but I can use light ink. If you the brush work is more important, as Li Yingning, his contemporary, younger than him, said in his teaching. They tend to write their opinion on art in their own inscription on the painting. So many Yuan Dynasty artists have written the what do you call this, commentary of their on art themselves, on their own painting. And here's a crossing branch I want to make. It might be different, than the this one is darker, so I can use a little ink. Just make sure it's in the front of the. Okay, I think this one's a little lower. But where the 2 crossing is more important. So I'll just change this a little bit, and you can make this longer. So always the left and then the right side match it. And remember how we turn the from trunk to branches. We showed in the first series when you do pines, right? So you make a stop, a dot, then continue, something like that. And I'll do a third tree. This is the one which is behind, but it's quite dark. I think later he designed to extend the root, so it could be on the same plane of this 3, but it's a little behind, definitely. Yeah, this is the main tree. And yeah, I'll just follow his steps. So we don't start from the root, remember? We start from more or less where the branch starts to split. And you can see his strokes very loose. Maybe I just hold the brush like a pencil, and instead of like a Chinese way, so I have less control and more like a shaky hand. Oh, I made it to lean to the left. Let it be, because you don't have to copy exactly the original. So I just use my 3 fingers and I hold the brush higher. I just try to make it this kind of, but still it's a tip concealed stroke. And this tree is called a crab claws, but it's not really long like the Song Dynasty master Guo Xi's, but it's still, you know, kind of simplified. He was born in the end of Song Dynasty before, yeah. So he's quite. He lived, yeah. When he was adopted, that's the year he was 10 years old when he was adopted by a different family, and the Song Dynasty ended. So he's considered as a Yuan Dynasty master, and I'm sure he has some influence. So it really doesn't matter, I think, which tree is in the front. I just make them hard cross sometimes. It's more important maybe the dense and the sparse and the small and the large variations. So the depths just yeah, you can make some hard crossing even. So I'll do this this tree on the right side here. Okay, so where do I start again? Yes, the place where you have a major division. Okay, and then you look for the end of the tree, which is higher. The root is higher because he did the plan first. So I can draw this first, the ground. Just we can maybe mark it here. Just so that's the different plan. This is very important, and it shows the distance. Okay, and this at this layer, this plan, the tree do not have any root details. The root is less detailed. Okay, he does this quite fast. So I don't know why. Oh yeah, he had the inscription telling the story of how he did it in 7 years. So he added some details and some washes here and there during the 7-year period. But the main framework, maybe, you know, he did one section this year.
Henry?
And, yes.
I can't hear your voice.
Okay.
I have you pinned, but I can't hear you.
You cannot hear me now?
Darlene.
Oh, that's the other Henry, not me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you can adjust the volume.
Confused. Why doesn't he change his name to something else, like Harold?
Honey, be quiet. He can hear you.
Okay. Anybody else had the same problem? I changed the microphone. Does it better? Is it better, Charlene? I changed a different microphone. Does this sound better?
The sound is fine now, Henry.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, I think ideally maybe he would do the main tree, finish it first. But I do see the continuity of the foliage on these two trees on the right side. So let's do that. If let's look at the original again in detail. So we have some questions about next step, right? So that's my question is, should I do the wash on the trunk? Let's find out. Okay, so you can see here's a characteristic of his painting. He probably did this in multiple times, at least 3 or 4 times. And you can see each step, like here, you know, the soft color, very light, almost no stroke trace, and some stroke in medium grade. and you can see some little curvy lines, and some straight indicated rhythm of the brushwork. But if you look at it from distance, they all work together like a orchestra. A different instrument play different roles, but there are, yeah, it's like the key is when you modify your previous layer using a different tone. And the second point is do not repeat exactly. Do not repeat exactly. You can go off a little bit, inward or outward, just go off a little bit. So they overlap instead of repeating. You don't repeat line, especially if you're not familiar. That's why I purposely wait. Probably he didn't wait long, so he's dark right into the wet light. It's okay when you know this 2 point. Do not repeat. You can break the ink, and you can modify. Like it's here, you can see the original part is straight, and he made it a little curve. Use darker ink, so you can redefine the movement. Okay. Basically, he worked from light to dark, and the dark are generally drier too. On this foliage, he starts from light, then dark, but they don't break each other. Not like the Zen painting Seshu's style, please. That will be wet into wet, but this is dry into dry, wet strokes. Wet, dry on dry, dark on light. Do you agree? That's just my interpretation. And you can see how the dark is, and how wet and the light is, right? Let's do that. Okay, I'm going to use, first of all, basically a lot of water in the brush, and then just get some ink here so you can see. So this is my dark. I don't load the brush with you will see the difference. Let me show you. If I do this on this kind of paper, yeah, that's probably okay. But if you emphasize on the gradation in one stroke, yeah, it's not going to work like a raw paper, So the dark will turn the stroke into dark, not keep it separated. You cannot do that. So this is similar to Song style, Xia Gui style. He also does the light and the dark separately, and you can break them if you like, but basically they are applied on the size paper in 2 steps. So light first, yeah, light first, okay. And this, could cover up, should be dark enough to cover up the underneath, but it could be lighter if you want to show the what's under it, the trunk. It depends. If you think your trunk, the branch is not, worth to show, you can cover it up. You can use lighter ink if you want to keep it. So it all depends. You copy the idea, not the traces. That's this is Mi dot. Remember you can use the Mi dot brush. This is soft brush also. If you bought this one, but this is probably a little too big. Let me try. It will take, yeah, it takes more ink. So just I'll use Mi dot. You can overlap with the different sizes. We call it a confused dot if it's smaller. Confused dots, big confused dot. This is yeah, it's more like a big confused dot. Me dots is completely horizontal. Yeah, in some distant trees on the lower left here, you can see me dots at work. And the dark are not added right away, but later. But you can, if it's too dry, you can add some water just to, yeah, I think that will work. Okay, on this, remember this is the branch that belongs to this tree also. So we dot that with darker dots. So that will, I really cannot tell which one is in the front, but this branch looks like in the front of this. So these two trees, both are considered a host, I think. It's not, doesn't matter. As long as they work together as a symphony, orchestra. I mean, yeah, they complement each other. So more trees on the back here. I think we need some trunks first. I'll just use this. Not much ink needed, I think. So it should be lighter. Enlarge this. Yeah, you can see my tree on the lower left. I just look at you know what? I think the digital even clearer than the print here. I cannot really tell some details. So this will be a different plan. A little higher here. So here's a tree. Here's a tree. And here's a tree. So these are not really, it should be more carefree, kind of, just one stroke and maybe a second stroke overlapping a little bit. Could be repeat, but here we have a little bit more trunk to show on the other side. See, I need to take a closer look. I have an obsession to copy the original exactly. So I mean, understand the original. So yeah, there's a tree here. Just fill in the blank between these main trees. There are two trees there, one tall, one short. That's good. Good enough. I try to find these principles. He has a high remarks on stone painting according to according to principles of hierarchy, principles of yin yang, principles of the cosmological order. That's what neo-Confucianist painters in Song Dynasty, and then maybe Huang Gongwang was still. So there's another group. I'll just do it at this point. So there's main tree in that group as well, and I need to determine the direction. Is almost echo the first tree we did. A little bit lean to the left, and then split into. And there's some dry branches like a staggered horn or deer horn on top of that, because many of these details will be covered by foliage, so I don't really need to specify it too much. And my hand just not have a muscle memory. I just look at the original without looking at my hand. I can just let my hand do the work. for me. Okay, here we have a little baby. In Western painting, we call it a jumper. Between large and small groups, you can have, between large and medium groups, you can have a small one to connect them. It's a jumper. Not Western painting, Taiwanese watercolorist. He used this term I learned from his class, watercolor class. So all the art forms are kind of universal, you know, some rules. So this, I started to draw a little bit, you know, you have to, I think the advantage of doing the rock is really created the stage for the distance. Now I have to kind of imagine them. But in this demo, I concentrate on the tree. So we do the trees. We don't have to do. Okay. Now I add the darks along the center of the trunk. You can also start to add more branches or twigs, like he did here. So this is just a convenient, you know, with what's in the brush. You don't have to go back and forth for each stroke to the palette. Just depends on your the ink on the brush. You just do where it's appropriate. And my ink tends to be too flat here. So let me see if I can make it a little lighter. While I wait that to dry, I can draw some accent in the on top. Oh, here's another point I try to make. How dark is this think? It's lighter than you might think. Let me show you the proof with the original. So if you look at this section here, you'll notice that the darkest dark are the moss dots. It's like a drum in the artistry. And these are not so dark as the dark foliage, not dark as the moss. So there, that maybe, you know, a little bit there, but generally speaking, these are not the darkest. If you make this too dark, maybe because the season is early autumn time. So this dark on the trees are not the darkest. This is probably maybe, you know, on a scale of 10, maybe 7 to 8. This is 9. Okay, maybe the calligraphy is 10. This is almost 10. Yeah, it could be 10. You can do this at the time you do the calligraphy, the same brush you do calligraphy. Understand? So this ink usage is the most difficult part to copy. Many people just, like myself, very, you know, easy to mess up this kind of this dark and light relationship. And you can use drier strokes, or you can blot it to reduce the darkness. Sometimes we can do that. Let me see. I can use just the same paper, not so absorbent. You know, you can reduce the ink if it's too dark with blotting. But this, since the paper is not dry enough, I'll just do other part. Okay, we continue to enhance this tree with dry and and the dark ink. Okay. And I see a lot of dry strokes on the trunk, which is added after the light is on. You could even do a shading. I think that could be done the last. Then we go back to light to do a wash. I think the sequence we talked about in the beginning of the last session is outline, shaping. On the trees, we do the same. Outline, texture, shading or shaping, and then usually dry, light, dark. And then remember I mentioned when you add dark, you don't want to do this, you want to vary the stroke, vary the not repeat the same stroke. That's a hard part. You know, you have to remember, if you repeat, it will be heavy-handed, or make it too boring. So if you keep it loose, like dry, it's also a way to avoid repeating. So you can just scramble, we call scrambled, it's dry brush, and you can draw this tree with a very fine split brush. I think almost like a split brush. I have tendency to repeat myself. The line should be a little bit off, maybe somehow in, some out, in and out from the original. So that gives a more interesting music resonance. What they call this 气韵, the resonance of ink. It's like music. Yeah, you combine different tones and the different lines in this case I was talking about. Okay, and you could add a third time, So this is the point I try to emphasize. Do not complete in one step. Leave room for change, adjustment, always. So you don't make a dead solid lines like the academic painter may do, and they just make a solid outline and then fill in color or ink wash, very organized, very like a procedure work painting. This is more carefree, freestyle painting. So this is a little bit freer than that, spontaneous. And the spontaneous is in this kind of stroke, loose, yeah, very loose, almost nothing is very solid. You try to be careful when you make these solid moves. Just be careful with that. Like even the darks are very loose because they're dry, lots of flying white, so it shows through the light under it. So that's the point. You don't cover the previous layer. You let them work together. So see, if it's too wet, you just charge the original or the previous layer, not really adding to it. So I'd have to wait to dry, like he did, to a little bit longer. And this tree, I think it's a good idea just stay with one brush, which is the mustard brush. So you don't have to change the brush all the time. Can I do it light over dark? Of course you can. So you go, yeah, you can add light still. And here I have mid-ground tree, which is lighter and drier than this one. So that shows the distance. I'm going to use some more. I can start with light, then darker gray, lighter gray, darker gray. I'm sorry, this should be under it. Well, I should show some dry branches, dry twigs there. And you can push the brush, kind of make it split to create this coarse edges, dry brush dots for this distant tree. Kind of. Let me see if it's two trees or the same tree. Cannot really see that. Okay, here we go. Actually, I consider this the two trees, maybe same tree, could be same tree. So this medium confused dots, we call it confused dots in mustard seed garden manual. This belongs to the same tree, and then you have some bare trees. Oh, actually, this one is a bare tree. Is a separate one. Okay, I'll make that clear next. So I'll make this tree into one, and then make the bare tree behind, two bare trees, like early winter, late spring view. Okay, so I'm going to add a little dark. This is very interesting. This little tree here, he got something in the middle, something on top with dark, but a lot of voids in between. So that loss in the font really shows the distance. I like that. And this one too, you got some dark here and there, and some maybe just going behind this tree. You can suggest that. Just a little suggestion of that. And this tree goes on this side, but not so tall as this one. A little New style horizontal one. Why not? They are contemporary friends, actually. The four masters of Yuan dynasty. Wang Meng was a grandson of Zhao Mengfu, and Huang Gongwang, the one we're studying now, was his pupil. And I'm not sure. Ni Yuning is different. Ni Yuning, the hermit, he has the most unique style, but he admired Huang Gongwang a lot. He did a painting before him and tried to please Huang Gongwang to get his approval. Yeah. And here we try to extend this tree into the front group. So the way we suggest that is to add the root, because only the front tree has this root details. I'll just add that, and then we'll just do some ground. I'll use line to define. He used lots of hemp fiber stroke. It's very long, parallel, but we do see some. The rule is not to cross these lines, but he's the master. He crossed the lines here. You can see. Doesn't matter maybe for him. So another characteristic is his painting always comes with this this platform, this flat surface. This suggests a place that you can have a picnic. So if you look at handout, I have a page from the Mustard Seed Garden Manual. It has this kind of platform. That's his, and you know, we do this because it makes the landscape more friendly, kind of like a parks, instead of a barren place where you cannot really sit and you know, have a, yeah, some cannot live. Basically, this is a place to live. Okay, so we have some platforms or planes, horizontal plane, and then we have some slopes here. I push the brush to make it coarse, because here's a lot of coarse brush strokes. I push the brush. I push. Do you understand? Pushing instead of pouring. So you can push the brush to get this kind of coarse lines, and they work like this. They in the beginning they tend to originate from concentrate on one point and disperse over the course, and you can have secondary knots, you know, like a concentration of the lines, but basically they radiate from an imaginative center on a sphere, kind of, not sphere, like the rounded. So they're parallel, but with curved parallel, like this. We don't have to copy exactly. We cannot even see that. You know, how do we copy that? So this is the front. Let me see. So this is how far we go, right? So we don't have to have anything. And then we divide this surface into, look for the character chill or heel in this painting, and you will see this kind of division of 3 dimension. And you can go up also. Doesn't matter. You can go either direction. So it's a kind of loose, dry strokes, and I see a lot of crossing ones just like that, carefree, with a dry and light brush, carefree stroke. Yeah, don't try to copy exactly. Just get the idea, the effect you want to get. I forget about the traces. Okay, so here is another element here. It has a raised little mount kind of earth. He was born in the hometown of Victoria's Changshu, right? Changshu. I mentioned Professor Lu. He's has the same original family name with Huang Gongwan. He is also from that same county near Suzhou. Suzhou is the like considered the Chinese Venice. Venice is a big water town with gardens, very famous with gardens. Suzhou, have you been there? Chinese garden city. Suzhou, and the suburb of Suzhou is Changshu. He was born there, so they have this kind of lake view. But this painting was done in Zhejiang province. It's a river called the Fuchun, the same name as the this mountain, Fuchun Shan. Fuchun, actually Fuchun is the river name. And here we have this cliff kind of X-cut stroke. Just, you can do it with the spread brush kind of flat like this. So you just draw like, this is a Li Tang. Litang's small X cut stroke. And notice the direction change. Direction change kind of with some kind of perspective, indicates some perspective. And I just draw a line like this because this is light. So you don't have to avoid the trees. He probably did the length first. Doesn't matter. But here is, it's light. So you won't cover the trees really. Just this is kind of carefree, kind of manner that we have. So it just paint right through it. Yeah, just like here I would do slope like that. I'm sorry, I think I lost the. Oh yeah, he's here. This is the composition. Oh, right, it should be on this side. On this side, because this way. This way, yeah, I lost it. Okay, so this is the slope behind it. And let me just make another high slope, whatever, I made a mistake here. Because this is so light, just suggestively draw some background texture, noise, maybe. So it creates a sense of depth, some background. Okay, just take it easy. I just created my own structure. You don't have to really identify the structure in this case. I just copy the idea, not the traces. That's the advice. Okay. So I add this dry, medium dark to the distant trees. And maybe I just dot dark and then I blot it before it gets dry. That blurs it too, because you can see that. Okay, it takes a little bit away. So dry on wet, dry dark on dry gray on the light wet, but also dry on dry. But with this kind of loose edge, coarse edge, they work together as a whole. Okay, now I add some dark. So I need to make this host tree dark, a little prominent with this dark accent. You can add branches like that, and you can enhance those branches. And remember the dark, I tend to use the darkest dark already. It should be kept for dots, the mask dots. Very easy to go dark too early. So maybe good idea you test it before you do it. Okay, but if you already did it, just leave it. You don't have to duplicate the same thing, but try to copy first, then create your style. Just like you learn Chinese music, they will ask you to copy teachers, because each teacher has different fingering, different treatment of the same piece. So you can learn different from different teachers, but you can only, after you can copy, you can then create your own style. Same thing with painting. You have to copy exactly before you create your own signature style. Okay. And now I will dot this little trees. This could be the distance, or used it in as small bushes right here. You see, yeah, just so the first step is to draw this bars like trunks. You vary the length, some tall, some low, some, and the distance. Okay, then you dilute the ink and do this. We can use this dot brush. You can use the same brush, or you can use a softer brush with more moisture. With I call this me dot, horizontal dot. Yeah, just use this brush if you bought from me. Okay, and you can use this kind of there's some kind of like washes, I think, shading wash on the but you need to do lines first, and then enhance the shaping effect with the wash. The wash could be optional, just the shady part. I lose the track on where I am, but it doesn't matter. So it just like a slope from that direction. Okay. There's some short, low cliffs there, I think, and then some. So I just use this split brush to draw this distance. So just create some additional plants in the middle ground, maybe a little bit suggestion of a parking lot or something in the wood, something like that. Okay. Yeah, you can draw this separate the plants with a little shading. Very loosely. So not really wet wash completely, like overall flat wash, that kind of thing is needed. You always use calligraphy strokes, the same kind of stroke. The contour could be the same as the shading in his painting. Then you use wet stroke for this kind of dry wash. It could be dry scratching, sort of wet wash. The last thing I'm going to do is the dots. Dots placed on dry, have to be on dry. And before that, I think we still need to enhance this tree. There's some bark, dry stroke maybe. But you can just use ink to not fill in all the blank. It has to draw with the lines, another layer of lines, so you can draw. Yeah, just leave some white between strokes. Don't make it dead. Yeah. And you can make even this tree a little darker. You don't have to really copy everything, you know, as the original. But basically, this is the host tree, so it should be the darkest, but not so dark to the extent as the signature ink or the mustards. So this is a medium dark. This is the darkest leaf on the top here, but not too wet. Keep it kind of dry. This is blurry because it's dry and dry. Okay, so see if there's any dots. So you can add multiple times just to enhance the trunk. Just use light ink or darker ink than the previous layer. You don't have to follow exactly the stroke. You can. Okay, here we missed some dark on this side. I find blotting is very effective than get the light because this will reduce the grade from 10 to 8 maybe. You know, I find that's a very effective way to get light. Instead of getting it on the palette, you can just blot it. Okay. All right, let's see if we have dried enough here. And let me just show you another technique since I have room here for his rocks. Like, let me show you what I'm talking about. He will add small rocks on top of this slope, right? You know, overlap on it. It's very unique approach. Carefree kind of approach, you see. And especially on the in the middle part of the painting. Let me see. Where is that? See, he got this alum. We call it alum lines, right? And you can see here is what I tried to show you, and I will demo this on this piece here. Let me just click in. Can you see how he did that? You can see the light hemp stroke, horizontal washes like that, pretty wet, right? And then he added trees, and look at this rock with dry gray, yeah, just alum lumps. You can add a group of that here on our painting. Just like that. Let me find the example here. Actually, we have some small rocks here. Oops, okay, the book goes the other way, not like the scroll. Here, this one. Okay, here's the part. And I'm going to work like this. So I use split brush. I can just use this. Use a paper towel. I'll just use some wasted painting. I dry the brush and I use quite dark ink, but very dry. I try to make it pointed, but this brush is not pointed. I know it. That's why I use it. So I'm going to add this ghost rocks. You can see there. It's just the impression of rocks around the slope. But still you have to keep the rock along a slope or something that makes sense. The principle is that if you just put it in the middle of a slope, not behind it, you will violate this kind of natural rule. So you have to be careful. I can see on this painting this rock kind of along with that near slope. So it's behind. It's like a yeah. There's a ground for them to be grounded. I think this ground is a slope. So that's you can put a rock right on top of that. Just like off focused. It's very contemporary for me. Someone you say, oh, we need to learn contemporary style. Why we learn this classic? I think this, Chinese calligraphy and calligraphic painting is very abstract, very contemporary, very postmodern. So you can, you can see this kind of montage or overlapping images. It's like it looks so realistic, right? Because the principle is realism. It's the Tao of So this is how I see this painting, and I can do some background mountains still, like here, just to take advantage of this little painting. So if we make it into a complete painting, we may need some hills like this, and you can flip the side. So I would do. Let's see, how do we do that? I'll just follow this slope. So we go. We can just draw a line like that, I think. I think about it too. So just create a slope there. And some rock. And some rock there. You don't have to copy this. Okay, I'll just show you the technique. Okay, just cross the tree because this is light. Cross the tree is fine. Okay, now I do this side. I just use some outlines dry and then some wet. We'll do that. Just and the ridge of the mountain is most important. The dragon rain concept. And notice that he started to vary the lines a little bit kind of curvy, but not too much crossing, still parallel, something like that, instead of a dead straight line. But he has a lot of straight line in some of the parts. So it's a combination of different, variations of lines that create the orchestra, the symphony of this kind of landscape. And the distant mountain is a wash, without outline. So you can use water to do the bottom part, or just wet the whole area first, and then I already did it. That's how much I need, maybe. Yeah, just add a little bit, maybe just on this side. Okay, that's it. Just very, very pale. Yeah, that's about it. So, and you can dot a little bit trees in light, just like me dots. Actually, yeah, you can add the verticals later, the bars for trunk. But me dots dot first, and then add little verticals after dry a little bit. And you can dot along the one slope, but not right in the middle of that. Many people did that wrong because they dot right in the middle of a line. It should be on outside, on the back side of the contour, which squeeze out what's in the front, pops up the front, you know, that's what I mean. And you can dot along an imaginative line without the line later. That's how I do it. And you can use a little. I use this little trick here. The glue with a little ink, so it will not smear. And you can add a little line, wet into wet. Give it a true formation. There are lots of loss and font things in this painting. Okay, and I use this brush because it's so difficult to point. That gives me the looseness of it. And it's distant mounted. Too dark, just blot it. Okay, that's it. And let me dot the mustache and the signature if you want. It's not really, does it look like a complete painting? Okay. Any questions, comments? Let me unmute yourself. Unmute you guys.
Henry,
Yeah.
do you sell that book?
Oh, this book. This book, 富春山居图. That's a very long name. It's probably out of stock. It's published at the occasion of that historical reunion of the two pieces, I think. And you can buy. Let me see if on this book particularly, I think it's not a very. It tried to be another kind of a mustard seed garden manual of painting, but it used the wrong paper. You can see the effect is not really original. It used the raw paper, so it gives you contemporary, more contemporary, not authentic interpretation of the. You see, this is very wet paper. It's not original effect. So this, I won't recommend it. You know, you already have the original. Learn from the original. If you learn from the original, you become a, you know, if it's high master, you become a middle master. But if you learn from the contemporary, if you learn from me, you'll become less than me, right? So you always learn directly from the source. So I already sent you a high resolution copy. You can find a link on Google Cultural. that is a high resolution, image. They don't let you download the original high resolution one. Even you download it, you cannot really print it like this. This is so long. So you just got that maybe screenshot or some. I sent you about 10 sections details, including this one. That's good enough to study. So this book is in Chinese. Basically, the texture is in the. I don't think this author didn't really quote it, but there's only one important contribution. He thinks it's original. He quoted, but he said the others are cliche of the Song Dynasty treatise. Like, what is the name? The essays on writing on painting. This book, the Chinese on the art of painting, it mentions in the Yuan Dynasty period, it quoted the 4 taboos, 4 things you need to try to avoid in a good painting. The most important thing in painting is the reason or the principle. A good workman can grasp the li of paint, the principle of painting in color, but to use the ink properly is very difficult. He quoted an ancient artist saying the use of ink is most difficult, even for him. And he said here, Li Chen treated, okay, here. Yeah, I just translated this. Let me just read it for you. So he said there are 4 don'ts. Don't make the painting slotchiness. What's that word? SLOUCHINESS. Slotch means too strange, too too strange. It deviates from the ancient tradition, antiquity. So in Zhao Mengfu, his teacher's words, a good painting must have antiquity, must have indicate the transmission of antiquity. That's if you don't do that, if you try to create something fashionable, something new, it's slotchiness. I don't know this word. SLOUCHI, slotchy, right? Slotchiness. And the second don't is sweetness, or tian, which means less ink, too much color. I think that's maybe the commercial painting kind of in that time, the academic style maybe also, if you paint just for pleasing the market. And so the third don't is vulgarity, 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 right? Vulgarity is, not elegant, the opposite of elegancy. And the fourth is the recklessness, 赖 in Chinese, 邪甜俗赖. I translated the fourth one as a kitschy. It's antique. It's a fake antique, kitschy. You know the term kitschy, right? Fake classic, kitschy. Recklessness. So this 4 sickness we should or don'ts we should keep in mind. So the good painting is elegant, should be, according to tradition or principles, and not too colorful to please the common people, and not too stiff in copy the ancient. Try to have a life, a chi of it, of your own. Okay, now I'm going to add this dots. Can you see? Okay, look at my brush. I use a mustard brush, the new mustard brush. So the dot I put on is darkest on the foreground. Still, we need to vary the tonality according to the distance, So notice that rhythm, the distance between dots, it could be wrong. If you put a dots without people tend to do dots in one line and without vary the distance. So this is very important. And vary the size. When you paint the dots in the distance, getting lighter, let me add a little water and then smaller maybe. Okay, and concentrate on the ground. It's more like the little plants, suggesting the little plants on the ground. And you can dot the trunk. I don't see any, but here, there. You can adjust that in there. Just add some, just hide some problematic. Connect some strokes. If some strokes to sticking out, like I define this this edge of the parking lot behind. Okay, and yeah, you don't have to do a lot, but see, this is 3 is too even. You just let it make it lighter and then add a darker one, maybe just one is enough. And I don't see any in the distance. We don't have to do the distance. We have trees on top of that already. It's good. That's about it. And this is not dark enough, maybe. So we just add one more layer. So always add more layers after the first layer dries, and use a different tone, lighter or darker. Usually the darker for lighter first, then dark. You can add multiple layers. Just make one darker than the other. Okay, and that's it. I'll write my signature on this here. We can use 2 more words instead of using mimic. We can use I see some in the mustard seed garden menu. They use this word. 法 means method, law, rule, rule after 法黄公望. You can say 法黄公望黄子久. You can just use 子久. 黄公望. His name or 子久. 法子久. That's enough. 子久 is a fictitious name. 法 that's the word for law or method. Okay, and you can also use another word, 你. I think there's a traditional way. It's like I forgot how to write that. 你. This is a simplified. 你. Li means to paint in the style of more creative, just in the style, and use the same artist name. So this could be also used Li. Pronouncing is Ni Zans Ni, and this is Fa. So we can say Fa here. Fa, we're learning his method here, but not everything. Fa Zijiu. Year of rat. I just write on the trees. It's okay. Okay, the year of rat, Henry Lee. Okay. Maybe I should write lower. You could write on this lower half, maybe. Okay. Oops, smart. Now I can use. It's not a good idea to put a seal on the same lines. So, but you can do that with just leave it for collector's seal. Yeah, maybe I can do another seal. Just I got a mood seal I can use, big one. It's a phrase from the peach blossom stream, 桃花源记. Taoyuan means another Jing Dynasty, 5th century poet, hermit poet. It says, 豁然开朗, suddenly opening, sudden enlightenment. Okay. This is a seal I did in my college years. Yeah, that's the complete. That completes this practice. I see a little bush there. Let me just make it more. Suggest. Sometimes you just the painting will lead you, will tell you what to do. Just hand the painting on the wall and you will see what ask you to do. Okay, how you guys are doing? Any finished work? Any questions to show us?
Henry, this is Lisa. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Using this paper, I'm using a Shuxuan.
Yeah, Shuxuan.
And so what I'm wondering is, let's see, is there it turns so light, and I keep putting more and more layers on. Yeah, you just use. So I'm showing you this to see. Okay, if you can see. Can you show the effect? Maybe more ink, less water. Let me see. More ink, less water. Okay. You're on this corner. I'm sorry, my book is behind. Let me pin your video so I can see.
Okay. Yeah, it just don't expect to finish it in one application. You can charge it. Let me show you the ways you can do it. The first step is just to create a shape of the stroke. So and he said in his book, A Secret of Landscape Painting, you start light because you can easily modify it. You know, you can draw a tree, you know, to something like that.
Page of the book you are
Huh?
What's the page of the book? What's the page of the book you are using?
This book?
What's the page number?
Which book?
The page number they are asking.
Oh, this book?
Right.
You have this book? Someone has this same book?
They don't like you to copy. They want to check out the page for that.
Yeah, I'll answer the question later. I don't get it. Sorry.
The page in the Chinese painting book paperback that you recommended with the 4 don'ts.
Oh, that book.
Was the page. I'm sorry for the
this book is the Yuan Dynasty. Yuan Dynasty. If you have this book, yeah, the Yuan Dynasty, and then the 4 don'ts is page 112.
Thank you, Henry.
I think it's page 112. Yeah. That's okay. Okay. These are, so if you have this line, and you can then charge it. You know, before it gets dry, you can use a very dry, dark ink to kind of gliding on top of it. You see what I mean?
Yes, yes.
That's Li Yuning also uses this technique a lot. So you add dark to it, and with basically you don't need much dark. So for the darkest dark, you can always accumulate layers. So 3 layers. So 1, and then you add second after it dries usually. But you can also break in right away. I use the ink cake, so I can maybe just add it like that. So you can make it dark, right? So maybe your ink is not. Did you grind your ink?
Yes.
Yeah, you need to grind the ink, make it really dark.
Okay.
Yeah. So your ink is not dark to start with. If you use the bottled ink, it should be okay. If you use this ink cake, it should be okay. Because your ink is not dark enough, especially on this paper. You make it into a paste.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Henry, would you, the words that you use to in style of or mojo, could you write those out in word form and put the accents on them if you know them?
You mean the four
yeah, what do you call it? Pinion or
yeah. You mean this four categories?
No, for the in signing the painting, the fa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I already put it here.
All right. Ni is okay.
Ni and fa. Can you type in the traditional words for ni with traditional characters?
Yes.
I asked Victoria to do you with the traditional character.
That would be great.
Okay. And fa, this is simplified, but it's also ancient. They have a very, very complicated fa in traditional, but we rarely use that. Nobody, yeah, I think the character is really complicated. Let me show you.
Henry, is that the phut, like Cantonese phut, like that character is from like method, like they use it,
Method, yes.
yeah, phut,
Method.
okay.
Yeah. See, this is a painting in the book called the Master Seed Regarding Manual Painting, the expanded edition, not the English one. Maybe let me show you.
You're muted. Henry, we cannot hear you.
Okay, I accidentally clicked on the wrong button. Okay, this book has an extended section on painting samples. You know, this 4-volume one, the Chinese version. We don't have this copy anymore, but you can get it on Amazon, maybe from other sellers. Just the Chinese version, the 4-volume original version, and it has the 模仿各家画谱 meaning copies of various masters, and I found this word in the yeah, they will use this ni. Yeah, I got this ni here, so I can, yeah, they use more. Let me just show you what words they use. Okay, here's the fa, but this is in seal script. But anyway, this fa is very sophisticated. We normally don't use that.
Henry, is that lean in Cantonese?
Ni.
Li, is it like the word study or copy in Cantonese? Lean duck?
Ni is a study and a copy. Yeah, ni. But
thank you.
yeah, this one here, 泥梅花道人 is 吴镇，梅花道人 is 吴镇. This is 泥, so they use this word. Let me write this down in traditional. 泥. This is this part is like a huai, the dot, dot. The sound, the character for dot, and this is the hand radical, hand radical. This is the verb for ni. I think yes, it's a kind of copy, but very maybe ni means 虚拟, something like virtual copy, a virtual copy. Understand? Maybe exactly copy. Usually copy from memory. Let me speaking of a copy, let me show you 2 copies of late masters of this painting. I think it is very, very, very. Let me show this one. Do you see the image here? Let me see. Oh, on my left, I enlarged it. I'll enlarge this one. Okay, you can see this is a copy of Wu Hufan. He used to own this original, I think. He's a friend of many connoisseurs, also their mentor, like Zhang Chen and Wang Jiqian, CC Wang, also learned from Wu Hufan. He's a master painting also in the Republic China. Lifted into PRC, I think. He's a very authoritative connoisseur, and his copy is a very dear copy of the original. He got almost exactly, and this is the original. Let me see. This is the original, and I have a copy, a partial copy done by Zhang Chen. Also, this is the original. Let me see if I got here. I think that's probably, yeah. This is a copy by Shen Zhou. He's one of four masters in Ming Dynasty. And he saw the original painting unbroken part. So he had the beginning different from us. So we begin from here, probably like here, right? The piece is a part, yeah, the remaining piece is like here, but he has this part also, bridge, this entrance. So he had, but this copy, believe it or not, is from memory. Can you believe that? He did not copy in front of that, the original. But if we compare with the original, it's probably 80%, 90%. Yeah. And we don't have this part either, I think. Or maybe this is from his memory. I don't remember I see this. Yeah, he did all the details almost like a photocopy of the original from memory. Yeah, that is Shitian sent to Shitian means stone field. That's Shen Zhou's pen name in Ming Dynasty. Now he has this color in it. That's not in the original, but so you can have a interpretation. Let me see. I tried to find this one. Zhang Chen, you know, he can fake Dong Yuan. James Cahill think he faked Dong Yuan's painting. Can you believe? I don't think he can do that. You know, still, I think it's too difficult. He doesn't mean to really duplicate things, but his copy. This is a partial image. I don't have the whole scroll. It was auctioned. So Zhang Daiqian, the 20th century master pouring, he's known for his abstract pouring ink. He lives in California for several years before he returned to Taiwan. He lived in Brazil after 1949 for 10 years, built a garden there, and then moved to California, then returned to Taiwan, died there. Anyway, he's a great master, a great forger, if you agree with them. So his interpretation of this painting, interesting. Zhang Daiqian used sized or semi-sized paper always. He's a Gombe master, I think, basically. He used only sized paper. Any other questions?
Hey, Henry.
Yeah.
Question on the tip of the tree, right? Well, on the very top branch, you said it should be hidden the stroke. It should not be like a needle. Is that what it is?
You mean this bare tree branches?
Yeah, normally on the tree, very top branch. Should it has like a needle?
I think if in calligraphy, yes, you should always hide the tip. Yeah, it's more like the tip concealed stroke you can see here. But in needles, you will expose that, you see. And we also have this kind of circled leaves. Maybe not. This is still branches. I think the round part is circles. This is the crab claw tree. So I think the dots, yeah, it's like a fish head stroke. I call it fish head stroke. You can see that it's not pointed, but kind of dot pointed. Yeah, you could have a little exposed tip, but you can see this, all this. It's probably done with a damp. So the stroke underneath the stroke is not even dry. So he started to dot these little trees. And this dry stroke, the last layer was added maybe after all the underpainting. Like this light comes first, and then dark, dry, dark. So the combination of wet light and the dry dark, not darkest dark, darker ink makes this painting translucent and elegant. And you can see this different two layers where you could, no breaking ink, because on Gombi paper you should separate. And here we have little blurry edge. It probably on dampened paper, so you can damp the paper first with water. I think, yeah, I wish you can just go to this site. Ping, you can log in with your what's the WeChat. I don't know how long the WeChat will last in here, but you can create an account and you can access this website with WeChat. They have to take an ID from a WeChat. So that's why I couldn't send the link to everybody. You can see
so you
this.
can send me this.
Yeah,
I think you can. Or what?
You can see this link right on the address bar here. Can you see it? itfc.net. Yeah.
It's a little different. Okay, but I will get it.
You see that?
Okay. I will get it.
You just copy that, and you. I think they need to create a user account. Maybe everybody can see the basic resolution. To see this high resolution, maybe you have to create an account with you have to scan the bark, the stem kind of that image, the binary code with your phone to log in with your WeChat. I think. Okay, this is the beginning part. Really nice. I think this is almost like a wet into wet, misty. Yeah, I really like this wet and dry combination. So you could do the dry first, and then after it dries, to do the light. I think this way, according to his writing, he did the light first. Yeah, always light first. That's the beginning of this scroll.
Henry?
Yes.
His dry strokes almost look like they're done with charcoal. To me.
Yeah.
Does that seem right? Because they look very dry.
Very dry, but we still has the brushwork. The lines are still.
Yeah.
It's not like you use the side brush, you just scramble. It's not like that kind of charcoal. He has. If you, I wish somewhere you can find the whole translation. Maybe the book with the mind image. I didn't check. There should be some translation there. The mind Xinhua, the mind image by Wang Fang, right? He said the brush should be like a painting on sand, have this kind of coarse edges, loose and coarse edges. So maybe he's referring to the sandy texture, I think.
Okay.
And many interpret it as hold the brush like a stick painting on sand. That's a traditional description of the brush mark, of a good brush mark. But his painting gave me a feel like a sand painting, like you said, it's kind of grainy, like a sand.
In a sand painting, do they use sand?
No. I think it's just the way he described the painting like a painting on sand. So I think there are many interpretation of this in the hand in the finger painting class. I use the interpretation like you as if you use a stick to draw on the sandy beach. So that means, you know, the finger painting is actually the inspiration for brush painting. You know, like you can use your finger to paint.
What about trying it on very fine sandpaper?
I don't take this literal. This metaphors just to help you
understand.
Yeah, there's another kind of brush. It says like a 虫师木. It's like a bookworm traces on the page. You know, that kind of. So every part of the stroke is like a rounded. You know, it's like a like the book. You know, the bookworm traces. In old book, yeah, if you see them, they have this kind of traces. That's one thing. Another thing is the leaking wall stains. So all of this describe in the past, you know, for calligrapher, they think this is the idea of using the brush vertically and push. I mean, keep the brush in point in the middle. So the brush created this kind of roundness, just like the leaking stain on the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, I think his and Zhao Mengfu's painting also, you know, we use this kind of stroke for seal script. So that is used on this this trunk, and maybe also on this hand strokes, this long horizontal strokes. These horizontal strokes are drawn with sand, you know, like this. But still, you keep the brush tip in the middle. So you should be always sensitive to where the tip is, right? And let me show you if I can still access. I have found, believe me, hundreds of copy instructional videos or articles, but I only see one that is very good, worth to share with you. Let me see if I can find that. 黄公望富春山居图临摹. So I just put in 富春山居图临摹 and then videos. Okay, here we go. Let me see. And I want to show you, just compare with what we have just learned from this class. I want to share with you this to end this lesson. Okay, so we share screen with sound. I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Share screen with sound. Okay, this instructor is pretty good in using the.
还是这根先压住它，看我们就把它当成前面好了。
OK，
对吧？实际上它这里是有一个交错的，那我们就不管它嘛。这根没有别的分支，你看这里有一个分支，这里这个分支呢，我理解为它是后面这个树的，对吧？你看从这里穿过去，所以它在下面都没有分支。那我们就从这里一直到下面，中间没有分支，对吧？就在上面有个分支，那就好了，我们就直接开始。
So he starts from this postscript. Actually, from the original, I think the artist way started from the background. So he said to use to load the brush with ink only on the front and to paint it loosely like this, just to get the general shape of the gesture of the tree.
到这里分。 然后你画这根线的时候啊，这边的时候就不用去照着它写了，照着我们这边来就行了。
Align with the according to the left, so you don't have to.
对吧？这个就好了。然后上面呢加这个
exactly the original
小的这个枝，
The next
往上
is
去加就行
the
了。你看
tricks
像这
on
里，
top.
往上
Huang, you
上
can
来
pay attention of what he does.
对，就是这样的。
He's
加
good.
上去
He's good. This artist is named
写
Liu
上去
something. It's good. So his brush is called nail head branches. But you can see also some opposite nail head.
那继续往上分好了。
Okay, so we should keep nail head, not the needle head on the
我
branch.
把这棵树给它理清。
The other
还
side
是
of
从一个
nail
有
head
压差的地
is
方开始，
a rat tail. So
分支的地方。
yeah, I think
你看要从这里穿过来，所以我就从这里。
Ni Yuning is a different style. He used very pointed branch stroke. Just different style.
这时候你就不用照顾他那个了，照顾你这边。
I think
是吧
it's a
它吃到
personal
这里头，然后它这个方向是这边，
preference. Yeah.
对吧？和它
Okay, but the Huang Gong Wang is
Han Gong is very Confucianistic.
这个树比那根
He's
树要
Zhongyong, you
宽
know,
一点，
stay in the middle of
对吧？
everything.
对
It's
粗
not
一点
extreme.
然后你看里头有
It's not
干擦，
because
aggressive
擦两笔就行。
person.
if you look at the nature, right, the top of the tree branch is very thin, like a needle, right?
Not yeah. I think yeah. He is a copyist. I mean, he's a
抠的特别
Chen
死，
artist also, but
因为
he
我们一
tried
会儿还要
to
给它进行
convert
复
it
笔。
into
你看现在
calligraphy.
从这里
He's
要
not really copy the nature,
穿过来，
but he encouraged artists to copy
对，就是这样。
from the nature. Yeah,
那
I
这
think
分了一
his
个枝，
pine tree is
对吧
pretty
然后这里有小枝，小
realistic.
看这个树上来以后，在上面去
Some
分了
pine
那
tree.
个
There are needles.
跟这里你看
So
要差不多是吧？
I cannot
我
give
们
you
也
a
差不多
general
在这里
answer, but just study his original. It's all
然
there.
后这里分一个上来到这里。
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So this is about 15 minutes. If you want to
你把这个关系
stay,
给它画
we
到
can just interpret this.
是吧？里头这个点页我们等一会儿再说，
I
先
think
把这个
it's good
枝
to
给
see
它
us
穿好。
different artists
你看
to teach
第二笔
same.
在补的是吧？你看我现在
Okay,
是
I will take a look of this as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna take
I will
it
record
to
this
the
at least for the record. If you
Oh,
can,
that's good.
if you want to leave, you have something you can leave.
一小枝画上，是吧？这样和它
Thank you,
稍微
Henry. Bye bye.
You're welcome.
然
Okay.
后跟它一模一样。
Yeah,
在
this
原来
is
的位置。
he didn't wait the previous layer to dry to charge it. So Lisa, if you want to make the ink dark, you can always do that.
Okay.
In 3 or 4 steps like this. You can see how he does that. It's Gongbi style painting, but not so restrictive Gongbi. You know?
Right, right.
Yeah, it's on
Okay,
Gongbi
good.
paper, same paper we work with.
Uh-huh.
啊，这
Thank
棵
you.
树你看就画到这里了。我们把这个里头的细
What
节。
brush is he using? It
The same
looks
kind of brush I use.
the moss dot.
Yes.
不用照着它一模一样去画的，这是吧？
Yeah, I studied
Yeah, this
this
would
kind
be
of brush and I special ordered it.
墨色。
It could be
Yeah.
different, but the same kind of size and the shape.
It's very close.
Yeah, very close. Yeah, I think so. I think the brush makes
这个你看就
just
就
this
画
much
成了
difference, but the hand,
然后我们把
you
这
know,
棵
the
树
mind
也给它
makes
画完
most
成。
difference.
就是你看有好多小树枝，对吧？我们把它这个小树枝都给它画上。
He's working on the twigs now.
这时候你可以不跟它一样，对吧？按照我们这个来，包括这边也是。它这个啊，跟那个宋画其实是一样
He
的。
said his style of trees are not
小枝
much different
在里头
from
穿
the
进去
Song
用
Southern Song
叶
masters.
画
Not far from Song Dynasty.
这个也是一样的。
See, he hold the brush like a pencil.
Yeah.
You can do that. Just a personal, yeah. I think the Japanese also do this.
而且这里也是一样。
This is a little
Okay.
looser, I think,
Okay,
than the
yeah,
5
yeah.
fingers method.
在这个里头给它
Oh, he always turn his brush.
刻
When
笔，
the brush is split,
在里
he
头
switch it,
这里
switch sides.
这里也是。 你看这个关系就理顺了。
You can notice
然后
that.
里头现在就是这个
Especially when he
点
dot
的
the
点
mustache
液，
later.
点液
He will explain.
先用淡墨，对吧？我们调一点淡墨，而且笔呢稍微水多一点点，然后那种通透的这个淡墨啊，先给它上这里。
He
你看
used
我们通过这个笔记可以分析出来什么？就是我那天讲的，
okay.
先画哪里，
Talking
后画哪
about
里，可以
the
看得出来。
how to
先画的一定是这个湿的地方，
how to
笔这
he's
时候
going to
水
do
会
the
多，
leaves
对吧？先画的是这
from
个，
the
你看
reading
干
of
了
the original.
那它
You
肯定
can
是后
see
面，
the steps.
所以我们
The
就
wet
按照它这个逻
light
辑来，
first.
先点这边，点的是慢一点，
Go slow and
墨呢都给它
let
吃
the
进去，
paper completely
对吧？这边也是一样，
absorb. Actually, this is not absorbent paper, but
给它这个墨
said
吃进
that
去。然后干了以后呢，你看上面还有
What
一些
type of paper is he
it's
using?
the sized
笔
paper.
干了，我们来把这
Gumby
个
paper. The same paper I use today.
可以变得快一点，
Sized shrine.
对吧？这个还有一点。
Not the cicada or
You can use cicada. It's similar.
啊，就趁
You
这
can
个
use the back side
啊，这
without
个
the shimmering.
加一点浓墨。
This
because there's
one
no smearing whatsoever. Of course, his-
whatsoever. Exactly. That's the difference. Yeah. You can use cicada or
这里头也有。
sized single shrine, but on the back side. On this paper, we don't have shimmering. This is called without mica. Yeah.
his almost looks antiquish. Like
This
it's
color has a little tan. Yeah, I think that's a different. Yeah, that's
两天都是这样。
probably. I don't think
这
it
个
could
我
be
们
the
心里有
light,
个谱啊，你怎么画都行。
the artificial light.
然后这里全都是这个
Temperature
图案。
I'm not sure if it's the light or the.
Look at the felt on the table.
Oh
It-
yeah, you're right. It has a tan. So
你看这个破案就
it will turn this color after maybe 10 years.
Yeah,
我们再往
The
后
paper turns
这
yellow.
个部分了。
right.
It says acid free. My painting gets look like that within 30 years. They use this kind of bleach to make it really white, but it does change color over time.
这里接上。
Well, so does the silk. Actually, doesn't silk, or
I-
maybe it picks up pollution or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, the color change in paper aging really add to it. Not a problem for traditional
Right.
artists. And the Shitao, the artist in the 17th century, he wrote that on his painting. This painting is going to look better after 30 years. You know. Yeah.
Let me ask you another question in terms of paper that you've had around the house. Some of them have little brown spots occasionally. Is that caused by bugs or just,
往这里把这个
You mean holes? No.
no,
Stains?
the Schwann paper, it'll stain after
Stain.
也不用
several years.
Or
看里
it
头
could
反正
be
是这样乱糟糟的有一些点。
you mean our new paper sent to you or in your house?
No, old paper.
Your paper.
Henry,
Yeah, some that
Henry?
I've had for a long time.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you have to wrap it with the newspaper, but newspaper is not going to be good. I will use plastic. It comes with plastic wraps. Nowadays. It helps
Okay.
prevent that.
Henry,
Yeah.
it's called foxing. And it comes from picking up acid. It's because of the way it's stored. It's not in the paper itself. It's from coming into contact with cardboard or
Oh yeah, that could be a problem. Also,
Yeah.
the wind, we call it wind sizing. If you just hand the paper in the air, it becomes size. You'll change the paper has a life of its own anyway, and I think the only way to preserve it is digitally. Okay, now you can see how he does the background, and he would dot he used the same brush all throughout the painting. Yeah, I think this person is pretty good at this. And I
Who
saw
is this artist doing this? Who is this artist?
Who else?
The gentleman who's painting the picture, right?
Oh, his name, I'll find out. His last name is Liu. Not very not as I know before. It was recorded by his student on the phone. So I didn't find his official website or anything. It was published by the recorder, this student. In probably a private lesson. Yeah, see this tree, distant tree we did. I can also add this tree.
注意，也是要行笔在这里。
See the dots, he does it very slowly. I cannot. You can see he will talk about turning the brush when it splits.
一笔一笔。
He would turn. See, he turns the side. That you see the split.
分叉了，我就转一个方向。
Yeah, twist it. He said.
把那个分叉的面朝下面。
I see.
You see that? Yeah, that's important. To keep the split on the lower part, so more nail head on top and kind of broken on the lower part. See?
Okay.
Yeah.
I purchased a very long scroll years ago.
Oh, you have this scroll.
And it was, I mean, this scroll is as long as a wall in a room. I didn't realize that when I bought it and when I received it. And this artist, it's a Nepalese painting, really beautiful. When I ever get it out and open it up, I'll try to take some pictures of it for you.
Okay. So that's it for this this video. I hope everybody enjoyed this class, and I'll put the recording to you when it's ready, so you can review it. Next time we will study another master from Yuan, Wu Zhen. He is the master of dots, the mask dots, and he used a very different approach, more wet, into wet maybe, than this skeleton kind of painting. Very different, yeah. Okay, until next week. Bye-bye, stay safe and happy painting.
Thank you, Henry.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Henry. Bye.
Bye-bye.